Okay, so last things last, at long last, I should say, let me talk about Mulan. So, Ricardo, this time, please, if you don't mind, you mind doing the synopsis,
Oof.
please,
Oh
attacks,
boy.
right?
Yeah, boy.
So, I have a feeling we're going to clash swords in this one. We might
Yeah,
do
regular.
some kung fu for this one,
Yeah, yeah. Some cheap powers.
some cheap powers for this one, but
Yeah.
so that's me doing the intro, right? Mulan, the original film, it's right up there amongst one of the greatest, Disney animated films ever. Let's be
Okay.
honest about that.
All
It's
right.
not
If
one
you
of my
say that. Yeah.
personal favorite films, don't get me wrong,
Right.
but as far as the late 80s era of Disney,
Right. The
animated films,
Renaissance.
it's
Yeah.
right up there.
Renaissance period. Yeah.
Right. That's what I mean. It's right up there, right?
Yeah.
Um, look, I actually kind of rewatch it, in preparation for the show here.
Right.
It holds up for the most part. You know what I mean?
Right.
A few things they had to kind of dumb down because, kids watching and all that kind of stuff. But this new movie coming out here, it's not like I went in with high expectations. The thing is just,
Right.
all right, it's Disney Plus. I can't see it on big screen. Hearing about how great it looks and sounds, I would have loved to hear and see it on big screen, but I don't watch it here. Yeah, I don't watch it in my house. I don't hear dogs behind me and all that kind of stuff. So, okay, this is what we gotta deal with. Fine, okay, no problem. But really, what was in the back of my mind though was how people were going to respond to this, because I know they were going to take some creative liberties and not be exactly like the original film.
Right.
But
Right.
really, what I mean is because of the last few set of live action adaptations of Disney films, right? One of which I really really dug. That would be the Jungle Book, right, from a few
Right.
years back. One I kinda defend that would be Beauty and the Beast, even though I know a lot of people hate it.
Right.
But in hindsight, though, just looking back at it, it I've really felt the problem is that it just is literally, well, almost literally like a copy and paste of the first film, to the point that there really wasn't no need to just remake it as live action, right? And then that got even worse now with last year's The Lion King, right? Which was literally almost a shot for shot remake of the original film.
Right. Right.
So yeah, this movie here, Mulan, had a lot to do right here, though, given the negative feedback of the last few, live action adaptations. And still to this day, I haven't seen Cinderella, so I can't vouch
Right.
for that show. So I don't know if that's the best right now. I don't know, but still for
Right.
me up
But
there, Jungle Book is
you're
top
right.
tier film.
All right. So for Pong, yeah, yeah, I agree with that. Pong for Pong, Jungle Book is the best. Cinderella is up there. All the others, oof. Like all of the others is a oof. Okay, so I'll
Yeah, but
put
but your
this.
history with the old Mulan film, and then you can jump into what this new one is about.
I love the old Mulan film. I'm a big fan of that one. I'm not. It's not up there, but like I remember it being so much better than. It's it's better than for me. It was so much better than Pocahontas and Hunchback. Uh,
Yeah, I remember not really caring to see either one of those
right, and
on
then
in theaters.
it's even better than, and I'll put it above Tarzan as well.
Yeah,
But because
another one I didn't care to see as well. Yeah,
right. So when I heard, so there's the thing. I was deflated for this because I heard two or three big things about it. And I was like, wow, I'm not excited for this at all. The first thing was no music. I like, oof. But like, Mulan, in my opinion, has some of the best songs Disney ever had. Like in my opinion, "Making a Man Out of You" is still one of the best Disney songs like ever.
oh
Like
yeah,
to me, for me is
that song is flames, shit. That song
yeah,
is
exactly.
flames.
For me, it's top five, right? And then they decide to like change a bunch of things. So here's the thing: it falls victim to the same problems all of the other bad live action Disney films put it. And I'm not saying bad, but it's not like it's complete dog shit. It's just they make changes that was just kind of clumsy changes, and it is, well, interesting but clumsy. As in, it's an interesting call, but you didn't really go in a good direction with it. So in terms of the rankings, I'll put this new Mulan in the same frame as about Aladdin, the new Aladdin.
All
As
right,
in,
right, right. Forgot to mention Aladdin. Still haven't
right,
seen Aladdin.
Right.
heard
So
things about Aladdin, which is why I never bothered to watch it.
that's the thing. I don't hate, like, I didn't completely hate Aladdin, but because you're constantly comparing it to the original, you have a problem. And it's have the same problem. If you're comparing it to the original, you're gonna hate this new one. Right?
Okay,
But
okay. I see the argument you're gonna make there.
right,
I have
right,
a counter argument to that. But
right.
what is this 2020
All
Mulan about?
right. So this one is all right. So it's roughly the same story. So again, you're not sure if Mulan is a real person or if it's a hodgepodge of people throughout history, throughout roughly around 200 or 300 years during a certain type of dynasty or whatever it is. Everybody have to get the well, in this case they change the name because it's a little more anthropologically accurate. So instead of it being just the Mongolians, it's the Rorans, which is attacking, and they're being helped out by someone who seemingly has magic powers, because she does. Well, they kind of call in the thing is they declare war because they're going to be attacked. So they say, all right, we got to get all the able-bodied men from every village, every family have to give up a son. Oh God, I forget the actor name, but he have no sons. He have two daughters, but he have one
Right.
daughter
That
who
would
is
be the great Zima, who has
right,
shown up in tons of films, including the Farewell, which I reviewed last year.
right.
Really great show. You should check it
Yeah,
out. Aquafina was great in that. Go on.
yeah. Oh God, I'm forgetting the characters' names now. But
Oh,
it's
that would be Hua Zhao, right?
right. So it's Hua Mulan, right? Cool.
Yeah.
And right, so yeah, he's the only fighter, but he was a soldier in the last war. He fights, he cool life. He injured now. He can't really fight. So Mulan decide to take his place, right? And she lie about her identity, pretend to be a man, and go off and join the army.
Right.
That's the story. Same story.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
That's
but they decide to take a little left turn with what's going on. So then we'll have to talk about that because it is, in my opinion, one of the worst changes you can make for Mulan, especially Mulan. And there's something that I'm gonna get into an argument that I'm gonna be. I don't know if I'm gonna be mansplaining to another person who seemed to have liked it. Uh, she liked it, but we'll probably have to talk about that later. But to me, it's one of those real kind of borderline, kind of, I won't want to say kind of anti-feminist almost, the way how they frame it now. Because I kind of hated it, like what they decided to change. So like talk about the big change they make in this one. Let's go.
right.
Wait,
So
come on.
that's the witch thing, right?
Yes, they make Mulan into a goddamn Jedi. What the F? What the F? Like the original story was,
I
I really hate that, Judd. What
okay.
the F is this?
Okay, so may I share my opinion?
Yeah,
Okay,
go ahead.
so this out the way, folks. This is not going to be a shouting match here. This is not
Right.
me going to try to make you, Ricardo, change your mind instantly, right? It's just I hear what you had to say, but in this case, well, you hear what I had to say, and vice
Yeah,
versa,
you go
right?
ahead. You
So
go ahead now. Yeah.
because this show, right, went out of its way basically to be, so how I saw this whole movie was this is Disney's first attempt at a wuxia film.
Right.
From the execution to
Right.
the dialogue, this is a wuxia film, right?
Right.
So the idea of having Mulan be powerful, has powerful chi, and I mean she's able to do these, more or less do dope kung fu shit because she has chi, right?
Right.
I kind of just let that slide because it's like, okay, we're using wuxia, so it's like, all right, we had to explain how characters could flip in the air and do stunts and all that kind of stuff. Okay, now here's the issue now. When you have the same training montage that the "I'll Make a Man Out of You" song
Right.
was
Yeah.
was worked with, right? And they you actually hear it, right? But it's a new composition actually. It's more
Right.
instrumental. You
Right.
don't hear any vocals, right? It kind of make you now wonder, well, all right, so what's the point of her doing all these training scenes now? Because like there's literally a
Right.
moment where I saw this is like there's some 36 chamber Shaolin shit the way you have the
Right.
characters with the two buckets walking up these flight of steps on a mountain. That's street, that's kung fu stuff there. So but if you're using that as a framework now, you have to see this character grow over time and become stronger, you know what I mean? And be able to do this stuff. like that was the beauty of that movie to its extreme of Shaolin, where you saw the character grow into being this Shaolin master, right? But in this case, it's like she just had to believe in herself. She had this chi in her all along, and it's only when she got real and she had to really, show it off. Now that's when she able to do it, and everybody's like, oh wow, look at what she can
Right.
do. But yeah, that was clumsy. That is a kung fu trope. Like
Right.
I get why they do it for, because you have to
Okay.
explain how she able to do. Well, it's just to explain the fight scenes basically. What she
Right.
does in the second and third act. I get that, but still they could
Right.
have built that up instead of just saying it's all chi, man. It's kung fu cliche 101, man. I mean,
Right.
but go on.
Here's the thing. So okay. So we could here's the thing. I wouldn't have mind if they decide to say, okay, we're giving people powers now and they give Mulan powers, because not just Mulan have powers, right? The king of powers apparently
Oh,
the
the
Jet
emperor
Li.
who is
Yeah, the
played.
emperor. Right? Jet Li, yeah.
Okay, so just to talk briefly about Jet Li, right? So what I love about, yeah, I actually dug his performance.
Yeah.
His thing, it is cliche. Don't get
Yeah.
me wrong. We have to be this stern, tough talking emperor.
Right.
Like we must stop them, none of that. But the the stern English voice that Jet Li uses here,
Right.
that was like pure, kung fu wuxia shit. I was like, yeah, this is how it
Right.
had to be. Have the character be so larger than life there. We would all be too larger than life. But the same day too, what was kind of funny, him playing the Emperor, is if you remember a little movie called Hero, one of my
Right.
all-time favorite movies,
Yeah.
one of my
Yeah.
all-time favorite wuxia films. He was the guy who had to bow to the Emperor. And then, well, if you know the show, he
Yeah.
had
Yeah. Yeah.
to assassinate the Emperor. So it's funny
Right.
him
Right.
play the same role that,
Right. Right.
I
Right.
love
Right.
that. I
Right.
love that little stuff,
Right.
right? But yeah, go ahead.
And then yeah, so everybody, so it had the whole chi powers thing. So it have this, they accept that in the world. Now, okay, so I not get it. I could already have a problem with the whole bringing this chi magic stuff in it, because in the original Mulan, the reason why Mulan work is because she's such an unconventional warrior, but she's like a normal person, and then
Yeah.
because she think differently, and that is why she solved the problem. It's not because she had magic or anything like that. It's that she's a ordinary person put in an extraordinary circumstance.
Right.
Now
And
you
makes her
say,
more relatable.
right, now you're taking it away from that and you decide to make this, she's a special magic person, but other people had magic powers. The problem is that if you're doing that, you have to flesh that out properly, and they didn't do that at all. That is my problem with it.
No.
I
They they,
hate
they
not
had
only,
they had like a little couple of words, but
yeah,
admittedly, it's just so cliche. Like,
yeah,
it's
yeah, and they do the
feel
whole,
chi around you.
right,
You
right,
you know what we talk about, right? They
yeah,
do that.
and it's
Right.
also some straight up Jedi bullshit now. It's like, well, I'm the dark Jedi that going off, and you need to join me to the dark side. That bullshit.
Yeah.
I like, well,
Now, as you bring up Star Wars now, I would admit though, yeah, that is an issue with the show here, because even when I was watching, I was liking, the character. I was really liking the actress herself, Lu Yifei, that's her name. Lovely,
right,
right? Really lovely. But I couldn't help but watch her and see Daisy Ridley
right,
from the previous Star Wars trilogy all over again. This one character who, once they find out they have the Force, could do all these amazing things, and you know what I
right,
mean. It's to the point where not like almost nothing happens to her. It's like she's gonna be okay. So
right,
it just lessens the, you know, you're wondering what's
right.
gonna happen to the character. It's
Yeah,
just like,
I
no, she's
didn't,
gonna be fine because she's gonna flip and kick her way through everything, right? Because
right,
she's
and I
Mulan,
didn't
right?
I don't
Yeah.
have a big issue with that, because I thought they would at least flesh out the other girls' arc now. Like OG,
Right,
like
right.
give
That
me
that
some,
would be the witch who works
right,
with the bad guy. Who, by the way, well, oh gosh, well, the one who plays the witch actually is played by Gong Li do.
right,
Icon. Yeah, like what?
yeah,
Doing this?
yeah.
Okay.
And I thought they would have done something more with that. And I expected the main bad guy to be one dimensional. He's still one dimensional throughout the story. That's fine. But I
Oh
thought they would
yeah,
have. So I
yeah.
thought they
But
would have
but
given.
the only
Oh,
little bit flesh now they give is, oh, the emperor killed my father, so now I must
right,
kill the
right,
emperor. That's
right,
that's
right.
that's
But I
it.
thought, right, exactly. We didn't get anything with him, but I didn't expect anything from him, because I thought the main conflict would have been Mulan and the witch, right? So I thought they would have give them something, but then that don't really think, because like, well, all of a sudden she really want to help Mulan out when she's gonna get
Yeah,
arrow
like, and it just
and
happened
sacrifice
so
herself quick, quick, quick,
and it
quick.
just happened
Everything happens quick.
so quick. And like,
Yeah, I was like, all
you
right,
could have done so much there. Like
right,
the last minute decision that she makes, like, but you
right.
could have done so much more there.
And then
Given
another thing,
given the
another
given the nature of the characters and the audience you're catering to.
right.
Come on.
So another thing I personally hated is again I given it a chance, but I still felt it needed follow through. Even though it all my personal hang-ups, I trying to ignore it and throw it out the door for the sake of this, right? So it had the exact opposite of Lion King in my opinion. In my opinion, Lion King should have totally played it with the planet Earth and no music, in my opinion, right? They should
Right,
have cut
right, right,
all the
right.
music. This they should have bring back the music in because like they had the big montage and it was terrible. Hated it. That montage
Oh,
sucked.
you did okay.
Yeah,
I didn't
hated
mind it all that
it.
much.
Absolutely hated it. I was like, wow, this is like real empty and dry, dread. Well, they decided to split a character in two, right?
Who are you talking about? Oh, you
So,
mean
right,
all right, so the commander, right? Okay, okay. So
Donnie Yen, right, exactly,
what they did, right, is that
right,
essentially in the previous film, right? So the son of the real commander himself, right? The son who we
right,
follow, the one who sings the make a man out of you thing, right?
right,
They cut I actually read this up on Wikipedia, right? They cut his character out because they felt that if they kept him in, well, apparently he's a LGBTQ icon because, well, he was a man who more or less fell for a girl who he thought was a
right,
man. So it's that kind of
right,
thing. So he just said, you know what, let's just kind of cut his character out because it'll kind of overcomplicate things. But apparently that pissed some fans off. So what we get actually is what would have been that character's father, right, who's played by
right,
Donnie Yen. And when I see
right.
him, I was like, what, Donnie Yen? You know, he doing what
Yeah,
Donnie Yen does. He even
right.
right down to the stoic, accent. I'll
But
talk
then
about the stoic stuff just now, but
right.
yeah.
But then, okay. So then they did something what I thought was truly interesting, which is they decided to bring in Mulan, the guy, this other guy who's like the helping in the team, but they didn't make a love interest out of him. They tried to do a friendship arc aspect of it, which is not necessarily a love interest, but he still think the character is a male character, which is interesting, right? You shy away and you go away from the love interest, and you have this guy who's the leader of the team, but you want to be Mulan friend. Well, whoever I forget Mulan's male name. Mulan is pretend to be,
Right.
but then he's like, well, I don't want to be your friend, and well, we know why. And it's not, and at no point they try to make a love thing out of it, which could have been interesting. They do
True, true,
nothing
true.
with that.
Yeah, yeah. That's
They
true. That's true.
the point is that I didn't get the whole idea is that they made an aspect of a character who could have been a friend, but they do nothing with that in the ending. It's just oh well, they just fight in the ending and then they win a fight and they run. And Mulan decides to right again. They do another thing with Mulan revealing her identity earlier on, right? So and then you could do a big subtext of coming out of the closet because she secretly have powers or whatever it is. Who cares? That's not what I kind of pull from it. But they do nothing with any of this, right? Some of the action is okay, not that interesting. Like they have this one part where Mulan sneaks behind the Rorans to trick them into creating an avalanche, but like it's so clumsy and kind of poorly shot. So it was like it was kind of hard to follow. When she take the helmets and trick them into shooting.
Yeah, yeah. I remember the moment.
I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It
This
it
just
does
was
admittedly pale in comparison to that great moment where how she was able to fire that rocket at the mountain. You know, what I mean, in the
yes,
original
Dread.
film that caused the avalanche, which
Thank
still
you.
is a great, great, great moment. But
This was yeah. That and I think this is the biggest problem I had with this film. This felt so shockingly cheap and just half-assed. Like in terms of the action, like I really thought the action would be like some hardness now. Did that come real hard with it and like, oh, it's like a big deal and it's a big set of scale, but like everything just felt cheap. It's like wait, dies the size of the battle, dies it. That's it. This okay, all right. So moving on. Just like that's it. That's all they're doing, and then they move on to the final thing already. So that's just one thing, just a little bit of training, a little bit of character work, and then that is it. And then they reach the ending, and they only have one kind of cool part in the ending when she kicked the arrow. That was it.
no, yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. That
yeah,
was that is so
yeah,
whoosher. You know what I mean? Like you
yeah.
just had that one, unbelievable moment. You know what I mean? But
Right.
just to get to my thoughts quickly, right? So
Yeah.
I do understand where you're coming from. I really do.
Right.
And for stuff like this, it's really difficult not to not separate the original from the remake. I think this will
Right.
always be an issue with movies like this, right?
Right.
Because I mean the original films were were a part of your childhood now, or you just know
Right,
that they exist and they were great for a reason.
right,
So it's kind of hard to just kind of separate the two now. You know what I mean? You'll
right,
always kind of compare and contrast. But for me, I just look at it as, well, okay, so I'm not gonna be the one idiot that say, well, they drawing more from the actual folk story itself,
right. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. Who
no,
cares?
no,
Yeah.
no, no, no,
Exactly.
no, no. It's a Disney film, folks.
Right.
Let's be real here. They're drawing from the original film, right? But they do what they could to make things a little bit different.
Right.
Some of which work, others don't, admittedly, but it didn't take me out of the show. I just kind of watched the show for what it is, right? So, getting it out of the way, I thought that the cinematography for this was exquisite, though. I really, really dug the cinematography for this. Mandy Walker, who did it. I mean, kudos to you. You knocked it out of the park with this one.
Right.
It just looks so gorgeous, though, and reminds me a lot of, well, you know what I mean, classic, Chinese films. You know what I mean, like Hero, Raise the
Yeah.
Red
Yeah.
Lamp.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of usage of
Right.
color, right? And
Yeah.
the callbacks from the old film I really dug as well, like the oh gosh, the emperor, well, the moment with the emperor, like the city surrounding the emperors, the kingdom, actually, like,
Right.
those shots are really, really dog, those, like, every shot just looks so well done. The directing, which was handled by Nikki Caro, right? So one of the big things is that it's a female director, right? I thought that this is my first time watching a movie from her, mind you. I haven't seen Whale Riders yet. um
Right. Right.
I actually was impressed by what she was able to do. Like, I thought that, I felt that she
Right.
handled the action scenes very competently, you know what I mean, and just make things flow very well, right? The acting, I thought, for the most part, was great. Like, a dog,
Yeah.
Lou Ife as Mulan, I thought that she had the look down. There are a few moments where she could go a little deeper as far as emotion goes, but she gets the whole stoic warrior vibe down to a T, right? It was great seeing Donnie Yen. It was great seeing Gong Li. It was great seeing Jet Li, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Play the Emperor, right? And
Even
just,
Ming now make a little appearance at the end here.
yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. And a dog, well, we just see it's a, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a torch passing moment. A dog
Right.
here. And how they play that off, I was like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that was smart. That was smart. That was smart. So I appreciate the efforts made to try to be different, to try and tell its own story, well, so to speak, without relying too much on nostalgia,
Right.
relying too much on what you remember from the old show. And while I would have appreciated a song or two in between, the events, I was like, like in the first film, if you remember, there was only like what, 3, 4 songs in the movie. But yeah, I
Right.
do appreciate the fact that they try to keep it as musically distant as possible, right?
Right.
All that, like, at the very end with the credits, I mean, they have that particular song, Reflection, that plays in the end credits. I thought that was a great,
Yeah.
call,
Yeah.
right? The villain, you know what I mean, typical, kung fu wuxia villain, you know what I mean,
Right.
not that much characterization there, but I kind of came to expect that. So for me, my overall enjoyment of the show just rested not just on the visuals, but just on the fact that, yeah, this is Disney's take on a wuxia film. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's over the top, it's expensive, it's characters flipping in the air and
Yeah.
doing unbelievable stuff. You know what I mean? So I just kind of watch this, like, and I literally watch this Saturday afternoon. So this to me felt like, one of those Saturday matinee flicks. You know what I mean? You know
Right.
what I mean? Like me watching a whole kung fu film. That it just felt like that.
Yeah.
Now, that whole nature of it, the whole just stuff I keep talking about, keep harping on about. I honestly don't think that a lot of diehard Mulan fans will like it or gravitate to it at all. You know
Right.
what I mean? I know it'll have some that'll just be like, but no, why is it like this? It should be more like how the old film was, blah 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 blah. But I
Right.
don't want to make that argument, to be honest. Like, because yeah, as we see before with stuff like Lion King and Beauty and the Beast, when you try to do a whole carbon copy live action remake of an old film, without doing
Right.
anything different, yeah, people are gonna get pissed off at that. And that's the reason why I really dug Jungle Book so much, because it took,
Right.
to me, a fairly mediocre film and did so much more with it, right?
Right.
So I got that here with this, right? The story is not perfect, mind you, right? The pacing, especially like background. The second act does kind of dip a bit, but I dug the journey of what went on. But
Right.
I will say though, I wish that it went in deeper emotionally in terms of
Right.
Mulan's character, and that's what the original film nailed. This one was
Yep.
just kind of surface level. Like she have to do this, she have to fight here, and that's how they will know
Right.
about her identity. Um,
Right.
there's this team basically, but symbol actually with Phoenix,
Right.
and that even when I
I
saw
don't
it in the trailer, it threw me off because one,
yeah, I don't that's one thing I didn't really miss. I didn't miss Eddie Murphy. They didn't need that, right?
no, 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 no.
I'm glad they cut that, right?
Yeah,
But I
but
still
while
yeah,
while I do understand the symbolism behind it, right?
right.
And it's kind of, well, slight spoiler. She's the only one who sees it. That that in itself took a while for me to really accept. I was like, all right, well,
Right.
she see it because it's part of her heritage,
Right. I
okay,
get all that.
but
Yeah, and they mentioned it in the beginning and blah 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 blah. I get
yeah,
that.
but for me personally, they could have just take that out and it wouldn't have mattered. It was just kind of just there in the background to just to just tell folks, hey, you know what I mean? Eddie Murphy's not in this one, but you know, here's a little Phoenix thing, right? For me, really, they could have just taken it out and wouldn't have mattered at all, right? It was just there for the sake of being there for me. I also wish that they'd done a lot more with Gong Li's character instead of just her just literally being on the side of this, male villain, right? You know what I mean? And they could have explored much more, the whole dynamic now with her, working with this guy and her wanting to feel and be independent, because that's what he hinted at. But and they could have done it too. I mean, you have a PG-13 rating, dog. You have a PG-13
Right.
rating. You don't have to gloss over everything because what kids watching. You know what I mean? And yes, I mean, I know we have to watch it home because of, reasons, right? But still, it's not like you would have taken anybody out of the film if you explored her character a little bit more, and especially the contrast between her and Mulan, right? Which
Right.
move, they just fly by so quickly in the third act, and then things just happen so quickly, and like, what, why, how, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It just
Yeah.
thing. Actually dug the action scenes quite a bit. Actually dug the final scene, well, final fight basically. It's just so straight up Saturday matinee wuxia. So,
Right.
like I say, I was just enjoying just seeing, a Disney take on it, right? But in the back of my mind, to be honest, I had a feeling. I just knew that some fans may not like the decisions made. They may not like how far of a departure it is from the original thing. For me personally, I just felt like they did what they could to hold on to the essence of what made that first film great, whilst taking some narrative risks, right? Some of which work, others don't, but is more good than bad in my opinion, right? More that work than don't work. Um, and just as a whole, though, just before I get to my rating here, I quite enjoy this for what it is.
Okay.
I
Wow.
mean,
Yeah.
here's the thing, because I'm a huge fan of kung fu films and wuxia, and it just play on those, likes of mine. I was able to just kind of
Right.
watch it as is, right? Like, just, oh well, if you took the Mulan story and made it into this, Americanized wuxia film, this is what we got. But
Right.
still, I'll be honest, the original film went deeper in terms of the story, sorry, in terms of the characters, in terms of the conflict, in terms of the emotion. And I felt like that was what was sorely lacking here. They really could have gone a little bit deeper and be a little bit smarter with it too. I mean, it's a PG-13 rating all they have here, dog. Like,
Right.
you don't need to just gloss over everything quickly and just jump to the next action scene or next stunt or whatever. Like, you could do more with it, you know what I mean? And you have a decent enough runtime, hour and 55 minutes. You could do much more with it, right? So this is where, what I mean, people will just really start to question the validity of these live action
Right.
remakes now. Like,
I
oh gosh, if all they okay, so fine, remaking it shot for shot didn't work. Okay, cool. All right, or they have little creative liberties. All right, but it's like it's not even close to what we remember from the film, from the original film, what we loved about it. So I know there will be a divide when it comes to this film here, but for what I saw and for what it's worth, I am gonna give this strong 3.5 to a light 4. At least,
right.
at least. see it for the visuals. At least
Yeah,
if it could.
as I said, you have to like treat it for its own thing, and it on its own. If I were to just jump into it on its own and not comparing it to the original, then 6 out of 10, maybe a 7. Because
That's fair.
these movies like fall flat when they try to compare themselves to the original. Aladdin had the same problem, right? Every
Yeah,
time they try to compare themselves to the original, or they do something that was reminiscent of the animated movie, that is the worst part. But when they decide to do their own thing or make some interesting narrative changes, that is when like, okay, I could understand that. Same kind of thing for this, but I felt they could have go a little deeper and get into that. If they went into deeper, I would appreciate it a little more. But I hated all the changes anyway. So
right.
it had a drop. It dropped a 5 for what it is. So I don't know how to judge it in that sense. If you're comparing it to the
5.5,
original,
dude.
yeah, whatever. Right,
Just
that.
give it a 5.5. I
Right, that.
mean,
Right.
yeah,
So that's why I don't know. I'm taking it. It just I hated those plenty of these changes. I felt it could have paced a little better. Some of it looked cheap and small. Like in my head, I couldn't help but compare it to shit like Tai Chi and thing now. So it's like, wow, they could have really like get some good set pieces and thing, better set
yeah.
pieces at least now. But too much of it just look kind of empty and sparse and cheap. Like the whole city and the Emperor's Palace and this kind of stuff look a little too empty for my liking now.
Oh
Um,
boy, but I
yes,
get what you mean. I get what you
I
mean.
don't, yeah,
Given like
same,
how
yeah,
that trope is there. But
right,
as you see Tai Chi, points for Donnie Yen doing
right,
his own take on Jet Li's. The moment where he have the black robot on and he doing the
yeah,
moves. It's like,
right,
oh, okay, I see what you're doing there. See what,
right.
yeah,
And I felt everything still felt too much like a set and these kind of things now. So whatever, it's fine. Um, that is about it. I didn't have a big thing with it. As I say, the original animated movie just sorry, this is one of those cases. Again, much like with Aladdin, not a major change, but if you're comparing it, it is the whole up at all.
yeah.
So that's just me about that.
Right. Last
Yeah.
things last though, I'm wondering how kung fu heads and wuxia heads are gonna treat this one. Are they gonna be like, oh, this is Hollywood and Disney trying so hard to do like
Right.
what Asian and Hong Kong cinema have been perfecting for
Well, yeah,
decades.
it have a
I'm
set of
really curious
drama.
to see how people gonna
Yeah,
treat that.
it have a set of, well, I don't know how Chinese people are feeling it because I would like to see this in Chinese, like see it in Chinese with subtitles and see how that work.
That'd be
So
interesting, even though everybody spoke English. But I get your point. I get your point.
right, but it's clearly like it's sure I sure it have a Chinese version for Chinese audiences, like sure, right?
Yeah, what that reminds
Um,
me of. Sorry to cut you there. That Crouching Tiger's Hidden Dragon sequel that came out a
that's
while back on.
exactly what
Like
I
I
was
was, I
thinking
was
about,
thinking about
Josh.
that show too because
Yeah,
everybody spoke
it
in English, but when I saw it in IMAX, well, you and I saw it there, I believe, it was Chinese
right,
dub. Yeah,
right. No, but that's a comparison I like thinking. It's like the original is so much more ambitious and interesting, and then this just kind of feel it has some interesting ideas, but it just kind of ultimately just weaker and just scale back in many ways now. And it's again for Disney, this is not a product that I like. That's my problem. For
right.
Disney, they should have been bigger. I felt it should have been grander. They could have do more with it, but everything just felt just too sparse and empty. And that's my main issue with this. However, it's fine. 5.5. Whatever. Moving on.
Right.